Hi, everybody. Mary Brown here, Vice President and Director of Communications for the Tarot Guild, www.thetarotguild.com, also known as Pterodactyl here on the Pterodactyl's Nest channel on YouTube. Welcome to my channel. I'm very excited to talk to you today about a new deck. We're going to do a walkthrough and a micro review of Daniel E. Loeb's Rota Mundi Tarot out from Red Feather Press, and this is something special. This is the kind of thing that doesn't come along ever. Ever. So let's just look at some of the basics here. This is a big deck. This is a good study deck in a very real way that a lot of decks that we say are good to study, but this takes the cake. This is the guidebook that comes with it, as you can see, written by Daniel E. Loeb, and quite dense. Big, thick book with lots of tiny print there, and just jam-packed full of so much information on Kabbalah, on alchemy, on the tarot, on tarot history, on the relationship with the Rosicrucians to tarot and tarot history, and what their whole take is on it is really kind of fascinating, and in a way where it's not like somebody just saying like, oh, okay, well, the Rosicrucians had their take on things too. They had their oracle, which a lot of people assume was the tarot, since we're talking around the same time frame as tarot was out there when the Rosicrucians came into view. And what I like about Daniel E. Loeb's approach to Rosicrucianism and in the context of the tarot is that I think he gives a pretty fair and balanced retelling of the history. If people are interested in learning more, he gives the link out to what is it, pansofers .com, I think is what it is. That's a really good website if you're interested. And also it's kind of, there are a lot of modern day Rosicrucian organizations out there. He doesn't really recommend you join one or the other. There's not really any favoritism there, and everybody has to kind of tread their own path and make their own choices. And I like how fair-handed he was about that. But he does really get into a lot of things here, including the famous chemical wedding of Christian Rosencreutz. That makes up all of chapter 2, and that is something that maybe some of you have heard before or are familiar with. The way he tells it in his guidebook for the Rota Mundi Tarot, it's enjoyable, it's highly readable, and I love his own explanations that he gives for things. He doesn't just kind of leave you hanging with, okay, this is what we have, and it ends abruptly, and there you go. He really guides you through it. He throughout this whole book, he does a great job of, when things are related to the Bible, right? And different things that come up in this deck, when there's Bible references, he actually gives you the verses, so you could go back and read it and see how it relates, which I never seen anybody do that before. The only thing that comes to mind is maybe Giordano Berti's prophetic tarot of the Bible, where, you know, he created a brand new deck with that and based it off of different episodes in the Bible. That's kind of close, but this is a whole different animal here. Um, he goes like point by point. I can't think of anything that I could say that I thought, oh, he left that out. He didn't leave anything out, which is fabulous because, um, a lot of us who love tarot readers, who love to study it, who look at it as a lifelong pursuit, we're aware of the correspondences between the Hebrew letters and the cards and the paths on the tree of life and the 10 sephirots with the cards. We might have, we have varying degrees of awareness of those correspondences, but only the people that have really resonated with that have it so present in their mind. It's all the time. Like they look at, any given card in the tarot deck and then it immediately pops into their head. Other people are like that with astrology. And, we know there's no shortage of things that have been thought of to correspond to the tarot, and people pick and choose kind of what fits with them. This has some gravitas to it, some history to it, for sure, that is fascinating to read about. And just the fact that it is so detailed, with, from Eliphas Levi to Arthur Edward Waite, um, Carl Jung, biblical references, you name it. The information is in here. And I just think back to like 10 or 11, maybe 12 years ago or whatever, when the internet was still a fairly new thing for a lot of people. And, you know, it- we didn't have, we had a lot of resources online, surprisingly. A lot of websites popped up that would have those references. But the correspondence tables and that kind of stuff, and it was like printing out page after page after page of them. And it's kind of nice to have it all in this one particular book. Now granted, other people have written books that contain those correspondences and stuff. What they have not done, though, is create a deck like this that has all that information right at your fingertips on the cards. So this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. So we're gonna look at those cards in just a minute. This deck is just incredibly exciting. A lot of tables within the book. A minor arcana table here is really nice. It tells you, and there's a major arcana table as well. And really, the way he's broken it down, it gives you the path of wisdom, for um, the major arcana cards. So the Fool, path 11, the Hebrew letter name and value, and then the Hebrew letter meanings, and then the Sefer Yetzirah attributes that are associated with that path. So it's just everything you need right here in one book, and more than you could have ever imagined anyone would give you, all at your fingertips. Nice whole chapter on alchemy. Again, harking back to the chemical wedding that he covers in Christian Rosenkreutz, that he covers in chapter 2, and tells like in just an enjoyable way to read it. I just, I actually like read it twice, I'm like, oh, I want to read it again, kind of like how you attach yourself to certain myths and legends and stuff, and sometimes you're just so enchanted by it. And so he gets into alchemy. He talks about the nuts and bolts of it, the 7 classical planets, fractional distillation, just gets into the history and development then of the tarot. talks even about intuitive interpretation, talks about the tarot reading process, incorporating tarot spreads, even goes into the good old Celtic cross there, and even does this nice thing at the end here about tarot myths and superstitions. And this is a mature work. This is somebody who didn't just do a deck to be cool and doing a deck is always cool, but this is somebody who really said, okay, here you go. This is what I know. This is this is a way it's going to be made accessible to you. The Hebrew letters, I can't really get into every single nut and bolt of this book. It would take forever. You don't want to watch a super long video. This is what we've needed for a long time, and I'm so glad it's here. Let's take a look at the cards. We'll take a look at the book, the little design here of this book and deck set. The cards are divided in half. It's a big deck, right? This little insert pulls out. This little insert pulls out too. You can leave them in there so everything doesn't fly around, which is probably a good idea with a deck like this that you're going to want to study. But you can take them out too if you decide like, hey, this is a real sacred work to me. And I could see a lot of people easily deciding that right off the bat. I kind of feel like I have. So what I'm going to probably do is pull out the insert, put the cards in the book in there, and put like a sacred, something that's sacred to me in there with it. I'm not going to tell you what, because, we all have our own, ideas of what's sacred, right? So, but sturdy, well-made box, awesome book. Let's look at these cards here. I kind of think I've kept them in order. I think I have. Okay. Yeah, just want to make sure that I have. Okay, well, we'll do it this way. Anyways, look, the edges are gilded. We love nice, shiny gilded. Gilded with gold. When we're talking about alchemy, it's kind of nice to see some gold, right? This is the back design, the Rosy Cross. This is the Rosicrucian Arcanum, and that's our pathway into this. Speaking of pathways, and the deck, the card stock itself, it's good, sturdy card stock, not too thick, not too thin at all. This is very well made. Okay, and it's just a beautiful set. How it's put together is really different. It's different from what we're used to. This is not your average Rider-Waite-Smith based deck, although, the Rider-Waite-Smith is included in this, right? And he talks about the 32 paths of wisdom, right? That's where the deck essentially begins. We go in order here. And so what he's talking about with that, he's talking about first the 10 sephirots of the Kabbalistic tree of life. Let me find an illustration of that for those who may not be familiar with it. I'm sure most of you are, but this is what we're talking about. You've probably seen that depicted a lot in different decks. Maybe you have started studying Kabbalah, or maybe you're a master of it. But anyways, for those who aren't, so the 10 sephirots, those are those round circles, right? The 22 paths, these are the paths that connect those circles. Okay, so the deck, card number 1, the deck starts with the first 32, starting with the first 10 Sephiroth here, and obviously I don't have time to go into every single card, but I want you to see them. Okay, and so you see the Ace of Swords there, and you see the one on the card, and it's talking about Kether, the crown. right? And it shows you the illustration on the tree of life. Okay, there it is. You see the element of air there. And this is the brilliant thing, so you have the Ace of Swords. Associated with that, you see the little smaller depiction of the Rider-Waite-Smith Ace of Swords there in the corner. And then written on the cards, Kether Crown, name of God. It gives name, element, root of air, tarot cards, aces, kings, color is white, intelligence hidden, mystical. Gives you all those correspondences right there on the card. You can throw your notebooks away. You don't have to keep trying to remember what is it, which Sephiroth, what does it mean. It's all right there. And thank you. Thank you, Daniel Loeb, for having I don't know, the inspiration to even create such a deck. And so we'll, kind of just do a walkthrough of this. It's mind-blowing. All the information right there. It blows my mind because I literally have notebook after notebook. I have, little binders full of a lot of this information. Correspondences, correspondence tables, things that he has in this book here, things that he has written on the cards there. I've got binders and binders that are, 10, 20 years old of all this information. And all I ever really needed was this deck and book set. I could throw all that stuff away now. And guess what? Not only can I throw that stuff away and I don't have to keep shuffling through my papers and different notebooks and everything, but I can spend some time looking at these cards, working with his guidebook, and really, absorbing it maybe in a more deeper way than I have ever really been able to. I wasn't one of the people that my love of tarot directly led me into a pursuit of studying the Kabbalah. Okay, I know there are people, I have friends that it went exactly on that path. That was not my path. I got into different things. I and it's not that you know, you know how it is. It's like you go to you follow the things, you learn more deeply about the things that resonate with you the most, and sometimes those are the ones that just may not even have anything to do with these correspondences that are uh so often come to mind with the tarot. But you have an awareness of them, and I think any study that you can do of related fields, so like astrology, you know um Kabbalah, the tree of life, um even alchemy, all of those things that you study in addition to your tarot studies because you feel like a resonance with them, are always going to deepen your understanding of the cards. They're also going to deepen the readings that you can do with the cards for yourself and for others. And, this is just a great way to add something more to your tarot toolbox to become even more familiar with them. Things like alchemy that people have maybe a very maybe all they know, right, about the concept of alchemy is that okay, that has somehow something to do with the temperance card. We hear of alchemy all the time. Here it is right there. You see the little Rider-Waite-Smith temperance card there. We hear of that and associate. Oh, it's a card of alchemy. See, she's mixing things and that's alchemy. It's a little bit more than that, right? It's a lot bit more than that. And I love that he gets into that with this, and that you know kind of anything we can do to have a better understanding of some of the things that we kind of learn or that are touched upon when we're studying tarot, but that unless we delve deeper into, um, we just have that very surface understanding of. And another thing I want to say, not just having all the information written on the cards and illustrated on the cards and included in a lot of these cards with the, especially with the majors, with the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, it's just the feel of them. You know, they've got this matte finish, which is really nice, but there's something about it that feels ancient, you know, and we'll see that more when we get into some of the alchemical illustrations that are included in this deck. And so here we are close to the end of the 32 paths here with the Judgment card, Hod Malkuth. And finally, the World card illustrated there, Yasad Malkuth. And again, it gives you the Hebrew letter. He gives you, you know, what the meaning is as well on this, what the path is, the traits of it, everything you need. Everything you need. And of course, as we all know, it's not always about having everything we need. You know, we have everything we need to get started, right? We're like the fool with our, you know, we're carrying our little bag that has all our stuff as we go on this journey. He gives us everything we need to get started. And, you know, as always, and he even talks about it in the book, it's up to us. He's giving you everything, but he's not doing the work for you. He's not saying this is exactly the keyword you should use every time this card comes up. Okay? He's not doing that. And that is invaluable. Because that's how we grow as readers. That's how we grow on our own spiritual path and journey. So from there, right, we go into some of these cards that are really great. Like, so he shows like the cards that he thinks, you know, have these associations. So this is where it gets a little bit different, and like you have to pay a bit more, I want to say, sort of attention to the deck here and the illustrations on the deck. I mean, you in particular, and the way that the deck's designed. And this he calls in his chapter 8, and I think it is, this he calls the Arcanum Sapientium Deum. Okay. And I have no idea if I pronounced that in a way that wasn't incredibly awkward or not. It's not like I'm an expert. You know, I took 1 year of Latin, okay, in high school. Many years ago when they actually taught Latin in high school, or at least in my high school. You know, and what does he say here? Because this is the thing where it gets a little bit tricky, right? This card here is actually the Page of Wands card in Daniel's deck. Okay, and you might think that doesn't, but I see all those other cards. How is that? How's that the Page of Wands? See that P at the top in there, and so you got to kind of look closely to see it. But there it is. And so what he says about this, why we see the Lover's card, the Devil's card, the Judgment card, and the Two of Cups all featured in the card that he designates as the Page of Wands, right? And again, these are images from the Rider-Waite-Smith. He says the images on the Page of Wands card are taken from the Rider-Waite deck and portray the lover's journey as it progresses through the tarot deck. The story begins with the Lover's card, right up there in the corner there. See if I can point and hold it with one hand. And I love this, right? The story begins with the Lover's card showing Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden before they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, when their only other instruction was to be fruitful and multiply. The Tower card, not pictured on the Page of Wands card, portrays their fall from grace and means for them to return to paradise. The Devil card is part 3 of their journey. We see the Devil card over here. and shows Adam and Eve at their lowest point, where Eve is sneaking the forbidden fruit and Adam is blaming Eve for his actions. The next card in their journey, down there at the bottom, is the Two of Cups. If you can see that, and I'm not getting the glare too much on there. Okay, the next card on their journey is the Two of Cups, where the two lovers finally seek balance and come together. They are clothed because this occurred after the fall when they realized they were naked. And the Ten of Cups card, which is also not shown on the Page of Wands card, shows the couple's success in life. The final card is the Judgment card, which shows the couple having succeeded in life, having raised a family, and being welcomed back into paradise. And that really struck me as just a wow. I love that. That might be something that people talk about, that you read in a tarot book or something, but we never see it depicted like that to remind us of that journey on a single card. And he does a similar thing again with the Knight of Wands. And this shows additional connections between some of the major arcana cards in the Rider-Waite deck. The Wheel of Fortune is the forerunner of the Chariot. The connections between these two cards have already been explored, when he talked about the Chariot card earlier. But they're placed side by side on the Knight of Wands card because they are counterparts to show different stages of the alchemical process. The Chariot card is also related to the High Priestess and the Hierophant cards. Each of these three cards represent a different aspect of the Word of God. On the Kabbalah, these three cards are parallel to each other on the most vertical paths of each pillar. The Hierophant represents the oral law that is spoken and revealed to the profane. The High Priestess represents the written law, the Torah, whose interpretation is concealed because its true meaning is spiritually discerned. The Chariot represents the word applied or put into action. If wisdom is not utilized, it is of little value. This interpretation of the oral and written law may seem mismatched because the Bible is available for all to read and the secret tradition was shared only by word of mouth, but the mysteries of God are hidden in plain sight so that people can read the Bible yet not understand it, and the messages people hear in churches are often the false dogmas of man. Okay, so look, I'm not going to read the descriptions of every single card. That would drive you crazy. That would drive me crazy. We would be here all night or all day, depending on where you are. But I read those two in particular to give you an example of the depth of this, the philosophy behind it, where he's coming from as he, I guess, designed these cards. I wanted to look real quick to see who actually, who did what here. So the cover design is by Ashley Millhouse. Let's see. And I'm trying to see if there is any particular. Let me go back here. It looks like he designed the layout of all of these cards too. I don't see an illustrator listed. Daniel Loeb is going to be a guest on the Tarot Today radio show on February 12th. I will ask him about that as well. I'll ask him about the design of the card and everything. And so after February 12th, in the description of this video that you're watching in this walkthrough, I'll put a link to that radio interview that we're going to do with Daniel. And also, you can tune in live Saturday, February 12th at 2 p.m. Pacific time. That's this coming Saturday. And then obviously we'll have the replay available as well on the Tarot Guild and Psychic Talk Radio YouTube channel, and also on the Tarot Guild website, thetarotguild.com. But anyways, let's just look through the rest of these. Okay. They're gorgeous. They're the Magnus Opus, the Magnum Opus rather. solve coagula, um, that axiom from alchemy of, what is it, dissolve and recombine. Can't think of coagulation. Uh, all of these are really terrific and give you this real sense of like, okay, sometimes we see these illustrations in different books that we're reading, and especially obviously if we're reading about alchemy or we're reading about esotericism, hermeticism, that kind of stuff, we'll see these, but it's just really, there's something special about seeing them on these cards. And the thing that's interesting is like, okay, what's going on here with these is you're also seeing the minor arcanum. You might not, I didn't catch that right away, right? What I caught was I'm looking at the pictures, I'm looking at the titles at the bottom, the alchemical processes. I'm like, oh wow, that's alchemy. But it took me a while and more reading through the book to realize like this card is the Seven of Cups. So you see the number there and you see the cups, the suit, seven cups on the bottom there. Um, and that continues on through it, only in different places. So up here, here we have the Quinta Essentia, right? And you have this wonderful old-timey alchemical illustration, like you're looking through one of those ancient manuscripts or something. But right up here, you have the number and the suit symbols, even the eight cups laid out, So that is just another cool way he found to do this. It is just, I don't know, brilliant, and the for the court cards, so there's a P for page and there's a cup there, so it's the Page of Cups. And again, I read you a couple descriptions in there to give you an idea of how detailed he is and just how he goes into explanation with them. The one thing that I would say, that you will notice here is, so this is the Knight of Cups. So there's a cup there. There's a lowercase k there. When we get to the King, we see an uppercase. So that's how you're going to kind of know the difference, um, as you're getting to know this deck. And it's just, it's the coolest thing since, I don't know, really cool things. And so it's everything. everything everything that makes what has been difficult for a lot of people to just absorb and to grasp when it comes to the correspondences. He's put it right at our fingertips. He's made it so accessible, and I just love that he did that. I feel like this is it's such a gift. I think that this is really one of the few decks that I would recommend. And I know, we do that all the time. It's like, it has to be this book, this deck needs to be on everybody's shelf. If you're a tarot reader or you're studying tarot, you must have this, you must have that. We do that a lot. We hear everybody do it, right? People are always doing it, right? We see it on the blurbs on people's books and decks and stuff. This is a must have. This is the first time that I'm saying it, and I really mean it. I don't think I've said that about any other deck or book, actually, that you must have it. This, you must have. you know? So go over to Red Feather Press. What is their website? I think their website's listed. They probably have made it available on Amazon and other booksellers, book retailers, I'm sure. www.redfeather, what's it? redfeathermbs.com. You can also, Red Feather Mind Body Spirit, that's what the MBS stands for. You can go to schifferbooks.com as well. Red Feather is an imprint of Schiffer. I hope it never goes out of print until everybody has a copy of this deck, because really, I can think of no other deck that has done this. Other decks have included a lot of this. They've included the letters. They've included, the references. They've included the astrological correspondences. Sure, one deck that comes to mind is, what was it? And it's beautiful too. It's a black and white deck. Can't think of it. Hermetic Tarot by Godfrey Dowson, I think, did that one. And so that's another deep esoteric deck that has a lot of information, but not like this. Nobody's done this. I don't think anybody's done this. And again, this is amazing. The night, sun, salt, the body, salt representing the body, queen, Mercury, spirit. I mean, it's great to just have it right there. The more you work with it, the more you work with that and the book. And finally, Sulfur Soul, and this is the King of Swords card. And again, there's the suit symbol with the big K. Wow. It's just a huge wow. And you could spend a lot of time with this, and the more that you spend with it, and the deeper you go into it, and the more you work with it, you're just going to benefit from it. It's funny, when I first saw images of this deck online or first caught wind of it, I was a little bit speechless. When I got the deck and started looking through it, I was a little bit speechless. When I read the book, and I haven't completely read the book to the point where I remember everything. I've got to go back, and I'm going to spend a lot of time with this, and I think a lot of time with this over the years. And if you get it, I think you will too. And man, we could just do a whole study group, just with studying this deck, really. But you can't help but benefit from it, even if you're not interested in the Rosicrucians, the Bible's not your thing, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. This is good stuff. So I hope that you've enjoyed this walkthrough, micro review, my ramblings, whatever we want to call this. And tune in to our interview this weekend with Daniel Loeb. Go over to the Tarot Guild website. Go over to the channel that we have on YouTube and on Blog Talk Radio, the Psychic Talk Radio Network. Also, I'm going to list the, because, okay, real quick, a little bit of housekeeping. So what we've been doing is we've been taking the replays, we've been taking our radio show episodes and making replays of them and saving them on our official YouTube channel. So what I do is I take those videos and I save them on a playlist on my channel here. So you can go to, after the show airs, if you aren't able to catch it live, soon as that replay is available on YouTube, I'll save it to a playlist for the Tarot Today radio show here on this channel. Go to playlist, go to the Tarot Today radio show, and you'll find it there. It'll be called the Daniel Loeb interview, Rota Mundi Tarot. You're gonna want to hear what he has to say. I want to hear what he has to say. Anyways, have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.